On this episode of That's What G Said podcast, we're going to talk a little NBA trade deadline. We'll recap all of the big moves that happened. We'll go over the Mookie Betts trade and some of the details in that one. I'm going to talk a little Sam Houston. We'll go through the Friday races. We'll go through the Saturday races. And then the focus for this weekend, as far as the big stakes are concerned, will be Tampa Bay. We'll talk about the Sam F Davis, and we'll go through the really strong Tampa Bay Saturday card. And then we'll close with your social media post. Don't forget, if you ever want to get a shout out on the show, you can post your plays for each weekend. Make sure to look on Twitter and on Facebook. Whenever I ask for the post them. If you post 3 times in a row, winners, you get to come on the show with us. And this episode is brought to you by Sarah Candle Company. Visit sarahcandles.com, CERA candles.com. Right now, they have a really great offer. It's a Valentine's Day box. We all want to get something nice for our significant others, friends, family members, maybe a coworker on Valentine's Day, but you don't want to have to spend, a ton of money. What's nice about this Valentine's Day box from Sarah Candles? $20. You use the promo code GINO, gets you 10% off your purchase. You get to pick 2 out of the 3 of fresh roses, tuxedo, and date night to put it all in a nice little Valentine's Day box for you. Affordable, perfect for your significant other or someone you're looking to get a gift for this Valentine's Day. And these Sarah candles, 100% natural, clean burning, highest quality everyone can enjoy. I personally know the owners, small business, if you like supporting small businesses. So Valentine's Day coming up, make sure to get your orders in. Use that promo code GINO on the Valentine's Day box. Sarah Candles, CERA candles.com.
So you want your daily dose of sports and pop culture? Well, I know a guy named G who gives it to you good. That's what G said. From Game of Thrones and Stranger Things to DDTs and chicken wings and banking on a long shot to close. Will the Lakers bounce back? Did USC upset them? Will the Dodgers have on all who oppose? It's gotta be our It's gotta be our fucking year. That's what G said.
February 7th, 2020. That's what G Said podcast. Thanks for tuning in again, everyone. If you can, real quick, stop whatever you're doing. If you're listening, just hit that subscribe button, whether you're listening on, YouTube. We want to try to build those YouTube numbers up. We're going to start doing some more videos over on YouTube also. If you're on iTunes, if you're on SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Spreaker, anywhere that you're listening, hit that subscribe button. If there's a rating or review, you can give us a little one of those, nice rating review. They help us out, give us a little boost on the charts. We're able to get seen and heard by more people out there, and then it helps us, honestly, when it comes to advertising and trying to get money and trying to make a little more money off the show. So do your best if you can. Just take 1 second, and we'll always continue to give you the best quality here on That's What G Said. Let's just jump right into it, because I hate that we're getting this out a little later than normal, but I want to make sure we discuss some of the big stuff happening this weekend and what went on this week. First up, in the NBA, trade deadline was Thursday, and some moves went down. There were a couple big moves. Let's kind of go through some of the moves that happened. Clippers get Marcus Morris and Isaiah Thomas from The Knicks get Mo Harkless and a 2020 first-round pick and a second-round pick via Detroit. And the Wizards get Jerome Robinson. So this was a 3-team deal that was basically built around the Clippers getting Marcus Morris, who he upgrades them. I don't know how much. And, there's a lot of talk out there about what a good, he's a tough guy. He's the kind of guy you need in the playoffs. Well, if he goes and punches someone in the face and gets thrown out and gets you a big technical late in the game, I don't know if he's the type of guy you want. Just this year alone, he has had an incident where he bounced the ball when he was out at the top, like literally took the ball and bounced it off the top of another player's head. And he's had an incident where he basically called out all of the women out there. And this was just recently, about a week ago, he made a comment after the game. So is he an improvement on Harkless? Yes. But I don't know if he really, and so in that sense alone, he feels like they're going to be a little bit better. But he kind of is the type of guy who wants the ball a little bit more. He wants to have a bigger role. Do the Clippers want that when they already have Paul George, Kawhi, and someone like Lou Williams, and even someone like Trez, who they like to get involved with a lot? Would they be better off having someone like Harkless who doesn't really need to take a lot of shots? I'm not sure. Morris is no doubt a better player, and the way he's shooting this year, he's having a great year, but is it good stats on bad team? Is he going to come in and be a great locker room guy? I just didn't think the Clippers really needed to make that move. If I were them, I would have tried to upgrade and maybe gotten for someone like a Tristan Thompson so you can upgrade maybe the center position a little bit, because I think the only weakness that the Clippers really have right now is that they don't really have the option to go very, very big. And I like Zubac plenty, but you need more than him. You just need another body out there. Zubac can play great, but he's not going to be the type of guy who you can have really playing, I think, in the fourth quarter of a lot of games in the playoffs. He can help you out throughout the game, and he can give you a body to D up on some big guys. So the Clippers, yeah, they get a little bit better. But I still think, and maybe they look around the buyout market, and the rumors are it's between the Clippers and the Lakers to get Darren Collison. And Darren Collison was at the Laker game last night, and he was at dinner with Jeannie Buss before. I mean, you would think that means he's probably going to come to the Lakers. And just when trying to pick between the two teams, if you're Collison and you're wanting to play, you probably want to come to the Lakers. He could come in and literally start or play heavy minutes off the bench and close games even. The point guard situation for the Lakers is not good. And as soon as LeBron goes out of the game, they don't really have anybody that can really get other people easy shots. Some guys can get their own shots. Kuzma can do that. Anthony Davis can do that. But Rondo's he's just a shell of the Rondo that he once was. He's just literally getting by on reputation, and he should not play a minute on the floor anymore. So the Clippers, massive deal in gaining probably one of the bigger chips out there, but there are probably people on both sides of the fence. Do you think this improved the Clippers a lot? A lot. I do think it improved them, but how much? We'll see. Morris is kind of a polarizing player. This was a weird one. Andre Drummond goes to Cleveland, and the Pistons get back basically nothing. Henson, Brandon Knight, and a 2023 second-round pick. This was basically a salary dump because Drummond has a player option next year he's going to take. It's going to be like $29 million, and they just wanted to get off of the Drummond contract. So Cleveland just takes a shot here. You know, you have a little while to kind of test him out, see if you like him, and if you maybe want to re-sign him, and he'll probably take the player option and get in there for another year. And if you like him, then you sign an extension with him. The big one was D'Angelo Russell going to the T-Wolves. The Timberwolves get D'Angelo Russell, Jacob Evans, Amari Spellman, and the Warriors get Andrew Wiggins, a top 3 protected first-round pick in 2021 and a 2021 second-round pick. I kind of like this move for both teams. The T-Wolves and Wiggins, they had their run. Wiggins had a lot of pressure on him there. He never really lived up to the billing. And now he gets to go to a place where there's not going to be a lot of pressure on him. And I think just from a positional standpoint, he fits that team better. D'Angelo for the Warriors was a lot of, and I'm talking about basically for next year's version of the Warriors, right? Because when Clay and Steph come back, D'Angelo kind of has a lot of overlap from the two of them. They have very similar skill sets. You bring in someone like Wiggins, who's at least a wing and a slasher, and you hope if he doesn't have to do as much offensively and there's not as much pressure on him there, he can improve his defense, because that was supposed to be something that he was good at, and he really hasn't been. So Wiggins heads to Golden State. They get a couple of picks that they'll probably use to just bolster a team next year. I mean, they could be really scary coming back next year when they're healthy, with the opportunity to even bring in another vet based on some of their draft picks. Sixers clear a roster spot. Orlando Magic gets James Ennis. Philly gets a second-round pick. The Hawks making a couple moves. The Atlanta Hawks get Scala Bissier and cash. Portland gets a future protected second-round pick. Rockets, Grizzlies swap forwards. Houston gets Bruno Caboclo, and he was, someone that was like an internet darling a few years back. And the Grizzlies get Jordan Bell and a second-round pick. Clippers cleared a spot before they made the Morris move. They sent Derek Walton Jr. to Atlanta for cash. And Iguodala moved from the Grizzlies, and he signs an extension, a 2-year, $30 million extension. So the Heat get Iguodala, Jay Crowder, and Solomon Hill, and Memphis gets Justice Winslow, James Johnson, and Dion Waiters. So this one of the bigger moves of the deadline. Iguodala gets out, and they get Crowder, who's another solid veteran over there to help the Heat. I think this is a big improvement for the Heat. A couple more small trades. The Warriors trade Robinson and Burks to the 76ers, so the 76ers get Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson III. And the Atlanta Hawks get Dwayne Dedmon, who they didn't sign last. This was just a weird one. They get Dwayne Dedmon in a 2020 and a 2021 second-round pick, and the Kings get Jabari Parker and Alex Len. Weird. One of the bigger trades, Clint Capella to the Hawks and Nene to the Hawks. The Houston Rockets get Robert Covington and a 2024 second-round pick. And the Minnesota Timberwolves get Malik Beasley, Juan Hernan Gomez, Evan Turner, Jared Vanderbilt in a 2020 first-rounder. And the Nuggets get Gerald Green, Keita Bates-Diop, Shabazz Napier, Noah Vonleh in a 2020 first-round pick. So this was basically built around Capella and Covington. And now the Rockets are tiny. The Rockets played the Lakers last night. The Rockets won that game, but they shot the lights out, and Westbrook had an amazing game. They'll be able to win and beat any team on any given night because they're just going to be shooting and spreading the floor so much. But when you have to play them, in a series come playoff time, they're not going to be able to really slow things down and play defense. You just have to be able to get some stops, and they're not going to be able to do that. So they deserve to beat the Lakers last night, but I just don't know if this is going to work. And Covington was awesome, in particular late. He was making some great defensive plays. He hit a couple big threes late in the game, too. Nuggets get Jordan McCur. Yeah, so there was not that was basically it. Earlier in the last few weeks, the Mavs got Willie Cauley-Stein, and we saw Ariza go to the Blazers, and Kent Bazemore go to the Kings. We saw T go to the Hawks. We saw Jordan Clarkson go to the Jazz. So now it comes to the buyout market. The next big name they're talking about is Collison. Will he sign with the Lakers or the Clippers? Then after that, you're going to see a lot of these teams that are tanking or young teams that don't want to win for the rest of this year. They'll start cutting their veterans, and they'll start getting scooped up now from. I mean, you're going to probably look at the good teams. Lakers. I'm sure the Clippers will try to maybe get a big. The Lakers will try to get a wing, and if they don't get Collison, some kind of a point guard. J.R. Smith rumors, which were with the Lakers, which I wouldn't really like that. I don't think J.R. Smith is necessarily even better than the Quinn Cook and Troy Daniels of the world as far as shooting, and who guys are on the end of the Lakers bench who don't really play. So yeah, that one for the Lakers has just got to be Collison. That helps them there. And then how about go get Mo Harkless, who the Clipper, if the Knicks can buy him out, who the Clippers just traded. Just get Mo Harkless to play 10 minutes for you on the wing. Nobody who the Lakers get, they need to play. I mean, Collison could play big minutes, but if they get a wing, they don't need someone to come in and play 30 minutes. They need someone to come in and be able to give them 2 spurts of 5 minutes to play some defense on wings. That's all. Not a whole lot. Okay, let's shift over to baseball. The Mookie Betts trade. Huge trade went down. Dodgers, basically it's three-team trade between the Dodgers, the Red Sox, and the Twins, and it was really built around Mookie Betts. The Dodgers get Mookie Betts for a year plus 3 years of David Price. In the last 5 years, only Mike Trout has produced more WAR, wins above replacement, than Betts. Betts is about 30% ahead of the next player. This is an article I'm reading, and that is by Keith Law from The Athletic. He does everything you could ask a position player to do. He hits for average, gets on base, rarely strikes out, hits for power, fields his position exceptionally, adds value on the bases, a career stolen base rate of 83%, plays just about every day. Price is more of a wild card. Wrist surgery in his second season in the last 3 where he didn't throw enough innings to qualify for the AAA title. His last great season was in 2015, but his stuff His stuff was also down across the board with his worst fastball velocity of his career. And so he's just a total wild card, right? But think about this. He's moving from a place where he signed a huge contract and there was a ton of pressure on him. He's coming to the Dodgers where they're only paying half of his salary. And he's going to be like maybe the fourth starter on the Dodgers. I mean, he might be a bullpen guy at the end of the year. He's basically going to fill the role of Maeda. So he will probably start some games early in the year. They'll see how he's doing. They'll see if he's healthy. The Dodgers never push their pitchers to make a ton of starts because they don't want to overexert them. So between Buehler, Kershaw, Dustin May, Gonsolin, Urias, they have Alex Wood. They also have a Jimmy Nelson. Alex Wood and Jimmy Nelson are hopefully bounce back candidates after injuries. Alex Wood was a former All-Star and pitched really well for the Dodgers and in the postseason for the Dodgers. They have a lot of options. You add Price to that. He's going to come and pitch against the NL West after pitching against the AL East and the likes of the Yankees and pitching in Fenway. And now he comes out here and he has to deal with, the Padres, the Giants, and the D-backs and the Rockies. We're not really talking about, except for going to Colorado, you're not really talking about the murderer's row of lineups. So I think he has every opportunity to succeed here. He's just not going to be asked to do a whole lot for the Dodgers' price. The Red Sox main return in this deal is salary relief. They moved $59 million in 2020 salaries, $32 million each of the next 2 years. Boston gets back 2 players who will help the team in 2020. Alex Verdugo, who was good last year. I liked Verdugo. And he hit for average, a little power. He played pretty good defense in the outfield. He could play all over the outfield. And he could be he's a player right now. Like, he was getting some all-star consideration before he got banged up. Like, he was really playing well. But he's not, I don't think he has the ceiling of anyone, close to Mookie Betts. He's just a nice player. They also get Brusdar Graterol, who was in the bullpen for the Twins last year. He's probably going to end up there long-term in relief. He averaged 99 on the fastball. A tight slider averaged 88. Missed the first half of the year with the shoulder impingement, and he's the reason why this trade is being held up. There were some issues with the medical, so everything that I've read, they've said the trade should go through today, Friday, at some point, and then it was kind of dependent on him and his medical, and if this didn't go through, they were going to find another prospect to put into the mix, as basically like Mookie and Verdugo were the two major parts of this, because the Red Sox do get Verdugo under control for a while now. This article talks about the problem for the Sox is their long-term pitching weaknesses remain unaddressed. Just don't have a lot now of depth in the rotation. The Twins pick up Maeda, which I thought was a really good move for the Twins. They get rid of Graterol, who has already had some injury concerns and is only really projected to be a bullpen guy. Maeda can absolutely be a starter for the Twins, and then he's awesome out of the bullpen. He just gives you a ton of versatility. Come playoff time, this Twins team is really, really good. They've made some nice additions this year. They added a couple pitchers, Homer Bailey, Rich Hill, and Maeda now, a couple former Dodgers. They don't need them all to hit. They just need like one and a half of a good, and another like half of a good season. And I'm really sad to see Maeda go. He was one of the most solid pitchers come big games, that especially out of the bullpen for the Dodgers the last few years. I always felt very confident when he came into games. And I wish they would have pitched him even more, because he was the type of guy who could go multiple innings for you. He'll start, and then if you need to, he can come out of the game multiple innings. I mean, he would be a good closer. He comes in and he throws absolute smoke. The only thing that is a little bit concerning is he's not quite as strong against left-handed pitching, against left-handed hitting, but I'm a big Maeda guy. They get 4 years of Maeda, who's under contract through 2023. And then the Dodgers, in order to have to move some salary, they traded Jock and Stripling to the Angels. So some shakeup for the Dodgers, no doubt. And then you bring in Mookie Betts, who you're just going to add to this really great lineup. The Dodgers signed Max Muncy now to a couple-year contract. You lock him in. you just have a really good team. You have a team that's still young. You have a stud ace at the top of the rotation in Buehler. Anytime you bring up Kershaw, someone's going to mention the playoff stuff. I don't really think that's very fair to hold against him as much as we did before, right? I think we can still say there have been games and series where he was bad, but he was really good in 2017 when we should have won the World Series at home, and now what we know about the Astros cheating, and that was one of the games where you look around and there's all the banging going on, and that was the game that he blew in one of the, his big, legacy games. He lost in the World Series and didn't pitch well against Boston, who might have also been, doing something. So I think it's a little more difficult after those 2 years. No excuses for last year against the Nationals, and he's pitched poor, against the Cardinals, in when he was younger and against other teams, but he's actually pitched really good too. So I think we got to take the good with the bad, and you have him as a nice veteran on your team and kind of like the heart and soul of this Dodger team for a while. This is a good team, and everybody's just expecting and assuming it's going to be Dodgers Yankees now. And I'm looking at some of the projections for the Dodgers this year. Mookie Betts is projected to hit .294, 376 on base percentage with a .540 slugging, 34 home runs, 96 RBIs, and 21 stolen bases. Yeah, that'll do. David Price is projected to go 9-6 with a 3.74 ERA, 130 innings pitched, 135 strikeouts. I'll take it. These are the Fangraphs projections there. So that trade should be finalized any time, probably maybe even by the time you're listening to it. But from all the Boston fans that I've heard, they're just, if you look at the trade just as a trade, and you know that you're going to have a player leaving and you're not going to get anything for him if he leaves, so you might as well try to get something for him, that's fine. Then, right, getting Verdugo back in the reliever, that's fine. But you're Boston. You should not be in a position to have your star Mookie Betts wanting to leave just a couple years after you won a World Series. This is the guy you build around. This is one of the best players you've ever had, period. Like, I don't think, if you're not a baseball fan, or if you're not someone who watches the American, maybe you're a Dodgers fan, you don't watch the American League all the time, or maybe you just don't, you're kind of paying attention. Mookie Betts is one of the 5 to 10 best players in the league, 10 like max. If you said he was number 2 behind Mike Trout, you wouldn't, nobody would think twice about it. He does everything well. He had a down year last year and still had an amazing WAR, which is wins above replacement. Like a good peak year from him in a lineup like this with the Dodgers, where you already are just loaded. I mean, he could, sky's the limit. And hopefully things go well, because then he'll look and say, man, why do I want to leave this really young, good team in LA here? And I'm sure the Dodgers are going to do everything they can to sign him to a long-term deal. Okay, let's move on over and start talking a little horse racing with some Sam Houston. Horse racing fans and bettors of all kinds, we are very excited to be covering the races from Sam Houston Race Park here on That's What G Said on each and every episode. They're broadcasting in HD, they have bigger purses, turf racing over there, but for me, the key is that 12% low takeout on their multi-leg wagers, doubles, pick threes, pick fours, pick fives. They are building a great program over there. It truly is major league racing. We have to give a big applause to the TTA, the Texas Thoroughbred Association. They've added new incentives and bonus programs for buying and selling horses, so it's better for the customers and it's better for the horsemen in Texas. Their social media presence has been bumped up. You can follow them at SHRP Racing on Twitter, and you're going to find morning training videos, the Monday Minute, jockey interviews, or if you're not on Twitter, you can find all the information at shrp.com. They're just working so hard to treat their horsemen and women and the bettors right, so let's give them a little bit of our focus. A couple big days coming up. February the 22nd is Texas Preview Day, and the big day, March the 21st, that is Texas Champions Day. We'll be covering all of that action here on That's What G Said, with all sorts of different interviews focusing in on Sam Houston. Make sure when you go to play the races, give Sam Houston a look with that ultra low 12% takeout in the multi-leg wagers. Okay, get your past performances out for Friday, February the 7th. I'm going to try to roll through these because we're recording this early Friday, so it's not going to, if I spend hours on this one, won't give anybody an opportunity to listen to it before the races even go. So let's go race number 1. Not a whole lot that I'm going to be playing in this first race. I kind of had this pegged 198. I thought Chief Envoy made a lot of sense in here. I like that he has some speed, but he can also sit, so that should help him from the rail because I was a little bit concerned about the rail draw. But I think with the ability to show a little speed and kind of get out of some trouble and then also be able to pass horses if need be. So I thought the 9 Long Station, obvious, major contender, makes a ton of sense off of the big win last time out. And then the 8 Westmont, who I played most recently, and he was a good second. He really had no excuses. He had every opportunity to go by. This just feels like a tougher spot for him. And so to me, I thought this was a formful race, so I'm not going to play a whole lot in this first. We'll move on right to the second race. We can play a little pick 4 in race number 2. Let's look at the 1 Cat Dude. These are maiden 25,000s, 5.5 furlongs. The distance, the 1 Cat Dude is coming out of a race where 3 others came out of. So 4 horses in this race come out of that January 24th race. He had a good start from the outside. Then he took back. He was like 7th or 8th, but he was about 4 or 5 lengths off. He kept wide in the clear. And it was okay. He made up ground late. I think he's like one of the horses in here to include. But the problem that I have is, that same thing with the rail draw. I think he was good coming from off the pace. If he has to take back and come around, will that be a winning type trip, or will that be more of like a on the scene for second or third type trip? The 5 is the horse that so I'll be using Cat Dude. I have him second in here. The 5 is the horse that I really like in here, Chakota. He has raced twice. In his debut, he had a bad start, and then he got stuck inside. He moved up into within a couple lengths at the top of the lane. He was actually third mid-stretch. And then last time out, he was, big speed versus better. He cleared the field. Now he's going to drop back in for maiden claiming tag. He's going to cut back. And he's going to put 2 starts together going second off the bench. I think you're going to get a much improved effort here from the 5 Chakota. I'm going to bet him to win if we can get anything around 5-1. I'm going to use him in all the exotics. The way I'm going to play the pick 4 starting in this race is 5, 1, and 11. The 11 Sky Pulpit in his debut, he was 5 wide at the rear. He just really had no shot as the favorite. Really crushed the field on the front end and never gave the rest of the field a shot. The runner-up from that race came back to win a maiden special weight next time out. So it comes out of a productive race, and that was back in June at Lone Star. So we'll go 3 deep in here. I wouldn't talk you off the 8 or the 9. The 4, I guess I'm trying to beat. There's 4 Sibs. They all have multiple winners. It's a first-time starter. He could absolutely win. It's more of a short price in here. And I do like the 5 Chakota. So for me, I'll go 5, 1, 11. I have them as the 3 to use in all my exotics. If you guys want to go a little deeper, you're looking for another couple. I think the next tier is the logical horses. So, that would be the 4, the 8, and the 9. But for me, I'm just going 5. Let's go 1, 5, 11 to start the that early pick 4 sequence in race number 2. Let's move on to race number 3. This one's 25,000 non-2s on the turf course, 5 furlongs. The question I have in this race, who sits? There just looks like there's a lot of speed. I was trying to find the horses who maybe they weren't as fast, and maybe they just kind of get into a tracking trip behind and have they passed horses in the some of their previous races. So I looked through the field. I do think the 4 Hot Fudge Louie might not be as quick as some of the others in here cutting back. He's a first-time gelding. He's cutting back to a sprint. I think you can put a line right through his last effort. And let's just focus in on that debut race when he went gate to wire right here at Sam Houston, going 5 furlongs. Top-notch connections. Hot Fudge Louie I'm going to have on top in here. The 1 Mighty Bugsy we'll be using. I'm just a little worried about his trip from the rail, but if he can sit just like he sat last time out, and I like the fact that he's a recent maiden special weight winner, Mighty Bugsy, if he can negotiate the trip, we'll include him. The 2 Honus, this is one who can pass some horses here. He can sit just off, and look at that career debut. He actually came from off the pace a little bit. It sounds funny just looking for one or two horses who can pass, but I'm hoping that at least he can do something when a lot of horses are backing up. And so maybe a nice horse to use in some of the exotics. I'll throw him in the pick 4 also. And then the 10, Right Lane Marcus, who, again, that September 28th race, if he can sit a trip like he did in that race at Remington, he's going to be really tough. From the outside, I hope he doesn't get forced a little bit wide, but that gives him some options. So if they're going a little too quick, then maybe he goes, okay, let's take back a little bit. So I'm going to use them in the exotics. We'll use 1, 2, 4, and 10. Those are the 4 that I'll be using in race number 3 in that pick 4 sequence. I have them 4, 1, 2, 10 in that order. Let's go race number 4, 5,000 claimers, non-2s. I think this is a good spot for the 6 Honor Deputy. There are 2 horses who will take a lot of money, and both of them have every opportunity and every right to win. That's the 8 All Business. That's the 10 Trebulski. I like the 6. In his last start, he was part of a 4-way battle. He was too deep. Then he got shuffled back a little bit, but he kept fighting in between horses for second. It was really solid. He's versatile. He has some speed, but I don't think he's going to be showing the speed. I think he's going to be probably sitting just off the pace a little bit in here. Honor Deputy. That's a play for us in race number 4. So depending on how deep you want to go, I'm okay with singling the 6. You can go 6, 8, 10. So we'll play a ticket maybe where we go 6, 8, 10. Because I don't, with these low takeout pick 4s and stuff, it's fine to, maybe pick one race where you're going to chuck the favorites out, or 2 races where you're going to chuck the favorites out. And then as long as you have prices and price opportunities in every race, you can build your tickets a little bit differently than at some tracks where I think you have to completely chuck it, out a lot of the favorites and maybe play it a little smaller, because these you get a little bit better bang for your buck back. So 6, 8, 10, I have them in that order with Honor Deputy, one of the better plays of the day. That comes into race number 5, where this is going to be my best bet of the day in race number 5. And I'm going to go to the number 8 in here, and that is AP's Bluegrass. That last start, he enters off a really nice second. He broke well. He pressed just off in the 2 path. It was back on October the 9th when I really liked that effort. He had some trouble that day. And you look at his only 2 grass races, he was a good third, and then he came back and, you see 7th. He broke on top, but he couldn't cross over. Then he sits second. He's about 4 lengths back. He gets stuck inside behind horses. He's waiting for room, and he just never has a shot. You'll notice he's only beaten a couple lengths, and you can see at one point he's in 8th, but he's only a length out of it because the field just bunches up, and he's just waiting. There's nowhere to go. He's looking all over for room. I think this is a great spot for AP's Bluegrass. He gets back to the grass, and he's coming in off of a really nice effort last time out to set him up for the return to the green. Let's put the 8 horse on top. We'll make a win wager if we get anything around 7-2. The 9 horse Our City. His last turf race was against 25 claimers at Churchill. So I think he's faced better on the grass. He gets back to the grass, and he's coming into this race off of a couple efforts where he was actually pretty decent. He was your beaten favorite last time out in that very same race where I liked AP's Bluegrass. So we're going to use the 8 and the 9. The 2, Rocket Tisway, logical. Second off the bench, and this is a good spot for him. He faced open 15 claimers last time out, and the 1, Declare War. He took a shot against Better in a race that was taken off the grass last time out. Now he returns to the grass where he has been very competitive. Just 2 back, he was a winner at the 15 non-2 level over at Remington. So 8, 9, 2, 1. We'll play to win on the 8. I'll probably play some tickets where I single the 8, and then I'll play another ticket where we're going with those 4, 1, 2, 8, 9. So if you used all of the horses that we like in the yearly pick 4, it would be something like this: 1, 5, 11 with 1, 2, 4, 10 with 6, 8, 10 with 1, 2, 8, 9. And in race number 2, make sure to include that 5. That's the one that we really like, and maybe a few bucks to win. If we can get around 5-1, we'll bet to win. In race 4, the number 6, Honor Deputy, we'll play around 7-2. And in race number 5, the 8, AP's Bluegrass, we'll play to win if we can get around 7-2 in there. Race number 6 starts the late pick 4. And I'm going to go with the number 6, grade 1 on top. Not a real strong opinion on any one particular in here, so I'll be using, just a lot of the logicals. I have the 1, 6, 8, 2, 1 is the way that I put the order that I have on this race. I do think Moss Mischief, off a really good last effort, turns back a bit in a good spot. And I think if you kind of key in on the dirt form, this is a horse who's been pretty consistent on the main track. And the Deuce, Awesome Saturday, first time gelding for Asmussen, class relief, has faced a lot better. And the one, Nomo Ron, was runner-up last time out. Two-back was in a race behind a horse who was a next-out winner against Louisiana-bred stakes race and has come out of some really productive races. So 6-8-2-1 in race number 6. Race number 7, we'll spread out a little bit here too. The 3, Newport Beach. You're getting a horse who has some speed, who's going to go second time on the turf, second off the bench, second for the new barn. They are kind of looking for where this horse fits. I think you're going to get better from a horse who's going to be forwardly placed in here. Newport Beach. We'll put on top of the 10, Moolah John, who we played last time out on January the 17th, coming off the bench, faced tougher, and just really didn't have a very good trip. It was kind of a race that just looked like they wanted to get a prep into this one. So I'm expecting better from the 10, Moolah John. The 2, Spiritual Warfare, looks like the one that they'll all have to hold off of late. Put a line through that last effort and key in on the grass races. You know you're going to get a late rally from Spiritual Warfare. And then the 7, Mr. Midtown. I'm keying in off that August 17th race over at Ellis Park. A repeat of that would make him very, very tough in here. 3-10-2-7 in race number 7 at Sam Houston. In the 8th, we'll shorten up a little bit in here. The 2 makes a ton of sense for Broberg. Dance Kingdom, I think big speed, but I'm concerned that you're going to have some speed to your inside with Optimal. I think Dance Kingdom is probably the quickest, but then you're going to have Praetorian pressing you, and you're also going to have Wits Gold from the outside flashing good speed. So, the blinks come on, Dracarys. I wouldn't be shocked to see that one a little more forwardly placed. It feels like there are going to be enough in here pushing the pace where I'm going to look for somebody else on top. I do think Praetorian has the ability to kind of press off a little bit and not have to get so caught up. So I'm going to use the 5 Rock and Roll Rocket on top because I feel like he's going to get a really, really nice trip in here coming from off the pace. And then the 4 we'll use also in the pick 4s. So we'll go 4-5 in race number 8 at Sam Houston. And then to close things out in the 9th, I do like the 8 in here. Akulina just feels like a filly who really needed the race last time out. She was really good too, even as the favorite. And I feel like she's going to have just so much more bottom today. She had not raced since March of 2019, so we're talking about 10 months. She should take a massive step forward today with that race under her belt. And the 11, Catch the Devil. Very logical one in here. This has actually been a 2-time beaten favorite, so I don't really want to take too much money too short of a price on this one, but from what she's shown, you're going to get a filly who's going to be coming from off the pace in here. And then the 3, Hunkette, as a bomb who flashed some speed last time, and she's putting 2 starts together. She came off of a long layoff. She hadn't raced from July to January. What I like is, if you're just looking at a number and figure, it doesn't look like she improved, but at least she showed some speed on the dirt. And I think, in a race like this, you want a price horse to have a little bit of speed, and I'm going to give her a shot in some of the pick 4s, and we'll give her a shot to hold on in some of the exotics. So 6 race lay pick 4 looks something like this: 1, 2, 6, 8 with 2, 3, 7, 10 with 4, 5 with 3, 8, 11. Best of luck on Friday at Sam Houston. Remember, first post is 6:45 Central Time. You can follow me on Twitter, and I'll be, if there's any changes or any additions or anything at all, I'll always try to post them there. Let's go to Saturday, February 8th. Every time I try to say, let's get through this real quick, and then just a little bit longer. The first race, we skip that one because we're going to start with the pick 4 in race number 2. So Sam Houston for Saturday, February 8th. Second race, 5,000 claimers, non-winners of 3. These are Texas breds going 5.5 furlongs in here. I'm just going to use 2 and 3. I think the 3, My Golden Tail, with the blinkers on, second off the bench, adds the blinks, second time Sam Houston. If E-rated gets pressed, My Golden Tail can come running. So that's the way that I look at this race. I think it's either E-rated, he can take a little step forward with his speed and have a little more fitness second off the bench at a really nice level for him. And then if not, he gets pressed. I think it's my Golden Tail that comes running. So we have 2 and 3 in here, and those are the two that I would use to start the early pick 4 sequence, E-rated and my Golden Tail. Race number 3. Mile on the Turf, 15 claimers, non-winners of 3. I like the 3 a little bit in here, Val's Lemon Drop. I'm thinking that she's going to sit off the pace a little bit. She got caught up and moved a little early on January the 18th. She might have been fresh coming off of a couple-month break. Now she goes second off. I really like the fit in here at the level. You know, you look at her races at the 15 level, they've been competitive. She got money last time out. I just think they're going to choose different tactics today. So we'll put the 3 on top in here. The 6 Bodie on tap, second off the bench, will be forwardly placed in here. I think, a horse that's going to be in the mix throughout. And then the number 8, Flash and Go. Let's look at that last time this mare was on the grass at Canterbury. Go back and watch that race. It was really good. She was second. She ran a big race. And when you look at the turf form of everyone in this field, there's really no monsters in here. I think Flash and Go has a shot to get in the mix. So we'll use 3, 6, 8 in the exotics in race number 3 at Sam Houston. Race number 4, I'm going to go too deep in here with the heavy favorite, yes, clipboard money, with the speed, on the big drop in class. But the 6, Chronic really should get the setup in here, right? Toss the race in the slop, going long, and now you're looking at a horse who's going to be cutting back, probably going to have to be coming from way out of it. But again, when you're looking at how is this race going to unfold, right? It's either going to be clipboard money, in my opinion. It's either clipboard money is the best in here and he wins this race just from off the pace, or he's just better than everyone in here. Or you look at Nate's Way, going to flash a little speed. You look at Commander McDivitt, maybe has a little bit of speed in here. Clipboard money is going to be flashing some speed. Collection's not exactly slow. And now you see a race that if clipboard money loses, it's probably because there was other speed pressing him. And if that is the case, I think then it sets up for the 6 Chronic here. So we'll use the 6 and the 4 in here. Those will be our 2 in the pick 4 in race number 4. And maybe a little win wager on the 6 horse if you get the price that we want. This is a horse that doesn't get hammered. Race number 5, closeout leg of that early pick 4 sequence. It's a mile turf course, optional 15s, fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. And I like the 7, TikTok Talk It. And let's go back and look at this one's last couple grass races, right? October the 18th against much tougher stakes company. September the 27th against stakes company. You run into a really sharp horse who won both of those races. And last time, on the main track, going a mile, she trailed, but she was only 3-4 lengths out of it. She dropped back a little bit. She moved up into contention, but she was inside with absolutely nowhere to go. You can see it says blocked, the 8th, settled and then blocked. I mean, just nowhere to go. So you're coming back to the grass, and the form's a little muddied because the last couple times on the grass, they weren't great races, but they were against much better. Now you're back on the grass. You're coming in off of a nice prep on the dirt. I think the number 7, Tick, Talk It. Very logical. I'm going to make a win wager on this one if we don't get hammered too hard. And I'll put the 7 on top of the 5, Magic in Motion, who will fly early on the stretch out from 5 furlongs to the mile. The number 10, Storm in Charlotte, who's an old vet, and that's going to go second, start off the bench, should take a nice step forward. Look at some of the real productive races she came out of last year and real sharp fields that she faced over at Evangeline. And then the 4, Leather and Lace, consistent, looking for her 3rd in a row, did a nice job. The Connections, Ronnie Cravens, did a nice job getting this one into the winner's circle first off the claim. So 7, 5, 10, 4 in race number 5. That means the early pick 4 for us at Sam Houston is going to go something like 2, 3 with 3, 6, 8 with 4, 6 with 4, 5, 7, and 10. Let's move to race number 6. We'll play that late pick 5 for Saturday. I think you can play a couple different tickets in here. I'm going to take one approach where I single this 2 Distorted Flash right off the bat. I thought her debut was good. She had a good start. Then she was outrun a little bit. She was back to 6th of 7, but she was only 3 lengths off. She waited behind horses. She moved in between. She tried to go inside, and she could not get through. Then she had to angle out and in between. Real sneaky trip with some trouble, and she was traveling really well. There's some ability here with the number 2, Distorted Flash. We're going to make our top selection in here. The 8, Lady Laura, makes a lot of sense. Went right to the lead, got pressed by a couple others, and she looks to have a major pace advantage in this race, even cutting back to 7 furlongs. But, she was defeated in that race by Super Legs, who was 3rd. She actually did run. Lady Laura ran pretty well. Like, she was battling throughout, and then she just got a little tired late. So maybe first time out, she was just not 100% cranked. I have this race 2-8-4. So the way I'll play it is I'm going to single the 2 on my main ticket. I'll play another ticket where I use the 2, 4, and the 8. And we'll shorten up in some of the other races where we can kind of key in on the other ones that we like. So 2, 8, 4 there. The 4 Super Legs, angled out 5 wide, was a solid 3rd in front of Lady Laura on January the 15th. 2-8-4 in race number 6. The 7th race will spread out a little bit. The 6 going to make the top selection, Dance Proudly, who I think you can put a line through that try on the synthetic last out and just look at this old vet who loves to win races and really fits nicely in here. The number 3, Future Ruler, who's sharp, who's stepping up, and who just loves these turf sprints. Put a line through the 2-back race at Delta, and then look at how good this horse's form looks on paper. Horse who has that nice tactical speed, who can sit just off the pace, doesn't need the lead. The 5, About Our Time, going to go on the claim back for Broberg, one who feels like they should just sit a nice trip in here. With some speed, but doesn't need the lead, has the opportunity to come from off the pace and some options. The 2, Richard's Boy, an old like classy runner-up in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, down in for 30. I just felt like he was going to show a lot more last time out, and he might be, beyond his best, and maybe he's not going to give you the effort that he like some of his best efforts would obviously have crushed a group like this. But I think the price with a horse like that is key. If he's around 5 or 6 to 1, then you want to include him in some of your exotics. And then the 10, Roger Brown, who can fly and just likes to win races. And I don't want to have him be the one that beats me, because you're going to know early on if he's able to clear a field, he's going to be really tough to run down. So I have this race 6-3, 5-2, 10. And a race where we can spread out a little bit because we're going to be singling in that 6th race right off the bat with the 2. The 8th race, we will just be using 2 in here. The 4 and the 3 will be the 2 horses that we used. I thought the 4, Bold Legend, this is a really nice claim for Broberg. Claimed this one for $7,500, one for $10 on 3, then stepped up and won a state bred first level allowance. I think this is a nice mare who will sit just off the pace, looking for her 3rd win in a row. And AJ's Grand will be the other one, who versatile, same type of thing. I look at this race and I think that Daisy Can has some speed. Frugal Betty has some speed. I think this race is going to set up for someone off the pace, and I'm looking at Bold Legend and AJ's Grand as the 2 to include in all exotics here. So 4-3 for me. We'll use those 2 in the pick 5 sequence. We move on to race number 9. Texas bred allowance, non-2, 5.5 furlongs. The 8 going to be the top selection in here, Detroit 66. I think this first-time gelding put in a really nice prep off the bench last time out. Hadn't raced since July. Go back and watch that effort. Sitting close, kind of moved into contention. Just got a little tired late. 8 on top, Detroit 66. The 9, Moro Appeal, will be using with that early speed. Should be involved throughout. You notice I'm trying to speed up a little bit here just because I don't want this one to go forever. And we're getting later into the Friday here. The 1, Wonders of His Love, is the inside speed. And then the 2, Grady's Cat. Obviously, you look at the running style here, is the type of horse who could get a really good setup and with a little turn back, maybe even a little more late punch. So 8, 9, 1, 2, in the 9th. And then to close things out in race number 10, we're going to go 10 to 13. We'll put the number 10, Mr. George Tapp, on top off of that really nice debut race. And that was in the slop. Hopefully you get a fast track now. Every right to improve second time out. The 2-horse, Silver and Aces, was your beaten favorite, but that was coming off of a long layoff. Flashed good speed that day and faded to third. One of the horses that he couldn't hold off, who actually ran second, was Doc's Class Act, who just looks like a real logical contender off that nice runner-up effort last out. So 10-2-3 in race number 10 at Sam Houston. That means our pick fives would look something like this. I'm going to take one approach where I'll single the 2 with 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, with 3, 4, with 1, 2, 8, 9, with 2, 10, 13. Then play another ticket, something like this, with 2, 4, 8, with 3, 6, with 3, 4, with 1, 2, 8, 9, with 2, 10, 13. That's for Saturday, February the 8th, over at Sam Houston. Before we get to Tampa, let's hear a word from one of our sponsors. One of the sponsors of That's What G Said podcast is Cindy Carava, full-service realtor, and I am here over in Glendora at Coldwell Banker with Cindy Carava. Cindy, how was 2019 for you? Tell us a little bit about what kind of stuff you were working on.
Hi, Gino. Thanks for having me. 2019 was just really great. I had a great year selling homes all the way from Altadena, Arcadia, Monrovia, out to Upland and Ontario just recently. The market has been really good. We're looking forward to 2020 with an increase in home prices about 5.8% this year, opposed to last year where it was a little softer. We saw more like homes averaging about 3.5% in increase in value. It's also looking great for buyers. The interest rates right now are going to be staying under 4%. So if you've been on the fence about thinking about buying a home, now is the time to do so, with interest rates still staying low.
And you offer more services than just the buying, selling, and leasing homes. Tell us about some of the other services that you offer and what a full-service realtor really is.
So you're right, Gino. Besides me being a full-service realtor of finding properties for my clients to buy or selling their homes or finding rentals for them, I also have a plethora of resources like handyman, contractors, electricians, plumbers. I even, if like I said, if you're thinking about getting a home loan, I actually work with 2 great lenders that I can recommend to anybody.
And you're all over the internet, social media, websites. Let us know some of the places where we can find you. I know I've seen some reviews on Yelp and on Zillow. Everyone always has positive things to say. Everybody hears me raving about you all the time. But where can everyone else find out information about you or contact?
Thank you, Gino. Yeah, I am on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. And you can contact me on my website, which is www.cindycarava.com, or my email, which is cindyc.realtor@gmail.com, or feel free to call or text me on my cell phone, which is 626-394-6400.
Cindy is awesome. She's one of the kindest and most genuine people I've ever met. I promise you, you will enjoy every minute you interact with her. So thank you very much, Cindy. Appreciate all of your support from That's What G Said podcast.
Thank you, Gino. Have a great day, everyone.
Okay, let's finish things up with Tampa Bay Downs for Saturday. Big day. Sam F Davis Day over at Tampa Bay Downs. There was a really strong card at Tampa, especially in some of the undercard races. There are a couple of excellent maiden special weight races. Let's touch on a couple of those real quick. In the 4th race, they're going to go 1 mile and 40 yards near maiden special weight. Let's go to the 5, Don Bourbon, whose most recent start at Gulfstream Park I thought was pretty good, and he's come out of some pretty tough races. He broke inward, but he broke well. He just didn't go on with it, and then he ended up getting parked, really wide, 4 off, 4 lengths behind. I didn't love the ride. For a generally good rider, I didn't think it was one of Javi's best. So let's give Don Bourbon top billing in here. What's kind of scary about the Tampa Bay card on Saturday is, like, every race, almost every race, I really like the combination of the Ian Wilkes and Julian. And, like the 5, Don Bourbon, obviously very logical. Then move to race number 5, look at the 7. this one is turning back. Career debut, really nice second. Then comes back on October the 18th and hooks a horse named Bayerness, who's 2 for 2. The runner-up that day, Tilted Bride, won next out. Then showed speed going long and now turns back to 6.5 furlongs after flashing a little speed. So maybe she's able to sit a little closer, but she'll have more bottom because it looked like 6 furlongs was a little short for her. She's a really nice fit in here. I think I'm going to put a few bucks to win on the number 7 in race number 5. And let's continue to kind of fly along in here through Tampa up to Tampa's, let's see, I mean the 7th race is a really strong maiden special. I don't have as strong of an opinion in there. The 8th race is the start of the late pick 5 sequence, and that's where you're going to see Got Stormy, who is a multiple grade 1 winner who was the runner-up in the Breeders' Cup Mile against the boys. And she's going to be really, really tough to beat. And if you're trying to beat her, I think it's probably only one of the logical ones, maybe Andina Del Sur, or maybe I could give a little bit of a look to Altea. The 9th race, this was one of my favorite races to handicap all weekend long. You can make a case for almost every filly in the Suncoast. There are some legitimate animals in here. The one, Lucrezia, is going to show some pace. She was a stakes winner sprinting right here at Tampa last time out. That's big inside speed. You have a little more pace right next door with We the Clouds, who was a stakes placed filly coming off of a couple-month break off of a really great debut win at Keeneland. She wouldn't be a shock if she improved a little bit. 260 is pace in here. I mean, this is the filly they thought enough of to take a shot in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies. The 4 Motu was the runner-up in the Grade 2 Goldenrod. She was in the 2-path. She kept in the clear. She made a big 4-wide move to the top of the lane. It was a really good second behind Finite, who came back to win another stakes out of that. How about Comical, who is a multiple Grade 1 placed filly? She was second in the Chandelier. She was third in the Debutante. She was behind Bast a couple times. They took a shot with her in the Breeders' Cup. She looks like another filly that can at least add pace to the party. The number 6 horse, Miss Important, winner on the synthetic last out. She looks to me maybe a little bit overmatched in this spot, just the way the race is going to shape up, and because I feel like maybe just because there's a lot of others in here that have a lot of upside that you maybe want to take a shot with. What's wrong with the 7? Blame Debbie. This is going to be my top selection in here. She ran on that crazy bias day at Aqueduct. Remember that December 7th day when like every race was a gate-to-wire winner on the dirt? We're going to talk about that race in a minute when we break down the Sam F Davis a little bit. Blame Debbie had a good start. She was close up into the turn. She sat third. She was in the 2-path. Then she got caught in between horses. She had to back out of it to like 4 or 5 off. And then she angles out. She gets up for third against a crazy front-running bias where they went really, really slow and Lake Avenue just cruised. I'm going to put Blame Debbie on top in here. The 3 outside horses are the horses that I'm the most intrigued by from a wagering standpoint. What's wrong with the 8, Turtle Tracks? I bet her last time out, she was coming in off a couple really, really nice efforts. Another time I mentioned this connection with Ian Wilkes and Julian, and then she hooked a slop in the Goldenrod, and she really didn't run that poorly. She didn't break well. She was beat out of a spot. She was back to last. She was 8 off. I'm expecting a much better effort from her today. Turtle Tracks. And then the 9 Embossed. You go back to the December 4th race right here at Tampa. She crushed a field on the turf last time out. And prior to that, she won going 1.40 miles on this track at Tampa. Broke on top, sat 4th, 3 off, 3 deep, was hooked wide in a small field, moved to the lead without really being asked. There are nice options in here. You can legitimately build strong cases for just about everyone. I'm going to build it for the 7, Blame Debbie, for the 8, Turtle Tracks, for the 9, Embossed. Those are the 3 that I would use in some of the exotics, and I'll put the 7 on top, Blame Debbie. In race number 10, it's the Tampa Bay. A couple that I'm looking at, I thought the 4, Caribou Club, is the one to beat. I do think the 1, March to the Arch, is going to get a great trip in here. It looks like there's some pace. You have Admiralty Pier. You have Renaissance Frolic. You have Holiday, going to show some speed. You have Real Story, going to show some speed. I'm looking to the 2, Devamani. I'm going back to that November 9th race. Was tucked inside, was third, fourth, was a couple off, moved inside. It was a really nice win. And then you take a shot on the dirt last time out, and a very easy race to excuse. You go back to that November 9th race. There were a couple next out winners. The sixth finisher has won next out twice. The third finisher, Instilled Regard, came back to win the Grade 2 Fort Lauderdale and then was third in the Pegasus World Cup Turf. So that tells me that Devin Monty's been keeping some very nice company. Now in the barn of Chad Brown. I mean, he has a feeling of where this one fits because he knows Instilled Regard. So I'm going to put the 2-horse on top. I have this 2-4-1 if you're talking about late exotics as horses to include. And then in race number 11, it's the Sam F Davis. And the 1 Ajaweed is going to be my top selection in here. Ajaweed, you go race by race. Career debut, sprinting, easy race to excuse. Come back on September the 11th, and a nice maiden special weight winner when you stretch out to the mile. Then you go over to Keeneland. You're in the Breeders' Futurity. You're behind a couple nice horses. Maxfield, Governor Morris, Enforceable. We've seen come out of that race to run really well. That's your Lecomte winner who's going to be pointed to the Risen Star. And another one who exits that big speed bias day at Aqueduct, right? He's second last time out behind Shotsky, who came back and ran well in the Withers. And Ajaweed settled 6th, 7th, was 5 off, angled early 5 wide move, was strong, clear-cut second, was really moving, was really closing the gap late against the biased racetrack. Ajaweed, the number 1, will make a top selection. We'll make a win wager on this one. We don't want to get hammered down to much lower than 5-2, but I think Ajaweed is a big player in here. I would use the 2 Sol Volante if you're talking about other exotics. He was bumped back a little bit at the start. He was 6 of 7. He was 8-9 off, and he started to roll. He went inside. He had to wait a little bit, and then he had to angle around and in between horses. With a better, smoother, cleaner trip, he'd have been much closer. I think he's in a horse to use in some of the exotics. The 3 Albert Park, his running style makes him an interesting long shot because he could sit pretty nicely in here. When you look at the 1 Ajaweed and the 2 Sol Volante, they are more of the stone cold closer type. So the way that this race could really shape up on paper, it could be Independence Hall forwardly placed and Premier Star forwardly placed, 2 of the really, really nice looking 3-year-olds in here, but they both seem like they want to be kind of up in the mix early. If they are, Albert Park could sit maybe right behind them. I think Chopaloo will probably be close also. I don't know if Chopaloo is quite as quick as the other 2. And Albert Park could end up working out that trip where he's sitting maybe right behind Independence Hall, right behind Premier Star, and maybe he gets the jump on Ajaweed and Sol Volante. So if you're playing late pick 4s or pick 5s or however you're playing the races at Tampa, make sure to throw the 3 Albert Park into a lot of your exotics or maybe one of your pick 4s or pick 5s, definitely in tries and supers and stuff, because he has that running style to where he could maybe just fall into a really nice spot. So the 3 I would use in some exotics. And then you have Independence Hall, who had a slow start last time out, and then he angles out 4 wide in the clear. He was handled like a 1-9 shot. He won very easily. He hasn't really been tested in any of his starts, but I think he's going to get tested in here. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him win, but it probably won't be with my money on the win end. So I'll just be kind of watching him in here, and we'll be trying to beat him from a gambling standpoint. No Getting Over Me, I feel like might be a little bit of a long shot here. The 6 Premier Star, if you watch his races, he just crushed last time out. I mean, he just cruised right on the front end. I imagine he gets the lead in here. He's probably one that's going to be more intent on getting the lead than Independence Hall, but I don't know if Independence Hall can, if he tries to kind of get hooked, if he gets hooked wide and he's forced into a trip that's not a great trip. I don't know if he can win with the same type of race he ran last time out in the Jerome, Independence Hall. That's kind of why I'm against him. I would be more inclined to give Premier Star a shot, and maybe he can really just steal this race. The 7 Tizrai Time, I feel like this is one of the Ian Wilkes Julian horses that I won't be using. I think he does need to improve a little bit to get the better of this group. And then you have Chopaloo, who beat 4 next out winners in his maiden special weight win. And he's drawn really well. He has speed. He can pass. He's a graded stakes winner up at Woodbine with that speed last time out. So I just feel like this race, to me, there are if there's always a couple options that I like other than the favorite, or horses that I like in particular, like a 3-year-old race like this, these horses are improving, I'm fine with with going against Independence Hall. And if you're someone who thinks that this might be one of the best 3-year-olds, I'm okay with that. But I think Aja Weed, I'm going to make my top selection in here. The 2, I wouldn't talk you off using Sol Volante. I'm going to use the 3, Albert Park, in a lot of exotics. I think I prefer the 6, Premier Star to Independence Hall in here. I wouldn't talk you off Chapelou. So a fun Sam F Davis, a really fun Suncoast. I like this card at Tampa. I don't play a whole ton of Tampa, probably just on a couple of their big days. They used to play a little more during TVG days, but this was one of the cards that I really had a fun time handicapping. So I hope you all enjoy, and I hope you all can make a little money. And we asked for your social media posts this week. We just didn't get a whole ton. The few that we did get, let me reference those. So we had a play from Michael Gagliano, who is looking for his 3rd in a row. If he gets this winner, he'll be able to come on for a segment and give us his picks next time out and talk some sports with us. He has Portland plus 8.5 over Utah. Lillard 48.8 per game over the last 6. And then Joe Gillian said Philly college basketball 4-team parlay on Saturday. SMU over Temple, Villanova over Seton Hall, LaSalle over St. Joe's, and Penn over Cornell. Great to hear from Joe Gillian. And then over on Twitter, we heard from Mike Demoni. He said February 7th at Sam Houston, race 5 to 6, Dauntless Prince. And then we're going to check up on Angelo, because I think Angelo gave us a couple winners out last week. That was Angman, so he might be in line to come on in and talk some sports with us here. That's going to do it, folks. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of That's What G Said. Make sure to share it around with your friends. Anyone that's a sports fan, a horse racing fan. We're going to continue to talk a lot of basketball. We're going to get into baseball season soon. And starting next week, we're going to bring on some guests to talk some college hoops, and that'll be some focus now as we get closer and closer into March and March Madness. We'll have big shows where we go through, break down our brackets, and give you all sorts of tournament information. So looking forward to the next few months here on That's What G Said. Don't forget the sponsors, that Valentine's Day box. I have a few of them. I ordered a couple. They're great from Sarah Candles. It's just $20. You don't have to go spend thousands of dollars. You can get some nice chocolate. You can get some flowers. Then you get a nice couple candles in this really cool Valentine's Day box wrapped up. It'll be a great gesture for your loved one, significant other, family, friend, you name it. They'll like this Valentine's Day box from Sarah Candles. Joey, my friend, close this show out.